Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Michael's Record Collection. I'm very honored to have with me a legendary songwriter, musician, Jim Peterik. You know him from Survivor, the Ides of March, and we're here to talk about his another project of his, Pride of Lions. Jim, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Michael. Thanks for having me on.
Jim, I'm going to ask you what I ask all my guests to start with, and that is, what was your first favorite record?
Well, that's pretty easy. Uh, Actually, it was a stack of records. I have two older sisters, and I was like 4 years old, and we had this RCA Victor, and they used to stack the 45s up. And among that collection was Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, Buddy Holly, uh, all the greats, my very first influences. And those records would drop down, and I would just sit there mesmerized as they went around. And that was my roots of rock and roll.
Yeah, that's the classics right there. You can't get any more classic than that. I have been enjoying this, your autobiography, Through the Eye of the Tiger. As you can see by the bookmark, I didn't quite make it. I'm 58 pages shy, but it's it struck me as when I was reading this, obviously it's a very thorough dissection of your career and your rise to success and that kind of thing. But one thing that struck me that I wanted to touch on before we get to the Pride of Lions record is that it struck me as very sad that your biggest moments of success were so tinged with unhappiness and strife in the band when you were with Survivor. Um, that just must have been surreal for you to be realizing your dreams at a time when you just kind of didn't feel great about yourself and about the situation.
Yeah, that was a painful part of Survivor. I mean, Survivor was hugely successful, and I'm very proud of the success and the songs that I wrote with Frankie and songs I wrote on my own, and amazing success and great relationships with both our singers, Dave Bickler and then the late Jimmy Jameson.
Mhm.
But there was an undertone of things that, as you read in the book, weren't always smooth sailing. And it's just part of being with a band. Frankie has and had a strong personality. So did I. There were clashes, and we got through it. And we got through it. And you read in the book that there were times when I was lashing out mentally and had to just kind of keep a lid on it
Mhm.
for the good of the band. I mean, in my own mind, I still wanted to be in front playing guitar at least most of the time.
Mhm.
And uh, and of course, with Frankie, he wanted to be the one electric guitar player, and it was cool. But I was behind the keyboards the whole time, and wanting to be part of the front line, like I was with the Ides of March. When you're nurtured with the Ides, and you're able to be lead singer and guitar player and have all your brothers around, I had to step back for the success of the band Survivor.
Yeah, it struck me too, like how much of what was going on in the band you were willing to just swallow for the good of just moving forward and trying to keep harmony as much as you could. Um, I don't think I could have done that, so
Yeah.
I appreciate I have appreciation for your your restraint there. You mentioned Ides of March. You were able to have a hit record when you were still very young, just out of high school and in college, taking college classes, and you're on the radio. That's got to be an unbelievable feeling to hear a song that you wrote and sang and performed on the radio while you're still that young.
Oh my God. I mean, Larry's sitting here and we can kind of relate to the same feeling of, cutting the song called, well, You Wouldn't Listen was our first hit. That was in 66, and that made it to 42 nationally. Number 7 in Chicago. Pardon me? We were in high school. And we were still in high school. And suddenly all the cheerleaders were talking to us. And we were kind of local heroes. And we would do shows. We went down to Florida and played with a band called, they became uh, they became the Allman Brothers, but when we played with them, they were the Allman Joys. And we're going, these guys are really good, and they opened for us. And Greg Allman on the keys and Dwayne on guitar. Anyway, that's where we cut our teeth with that tour.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course we added the brass, and suddenly I heard this riff in my head, and ba-da-ba-ba-da, and the rest became history. And we went in the studio, and in 2 takes we got the song that went to #1 in Cashbox, #2 in Billboard in 1970.
Yeah.
Then we were on the road with the best of the best, Janis Joplin and Led Zeppelin and everybody. We did all these pop festivals with Rhinoceros and Brownsville Station, and who am I leaving out? Big names. Jimi Hendrix. Incredible.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, everybody knows Vehicle, obviously. Just a great classic song from its time period. And here you are, you were probably listening to these guys, and now you're out on tour with them. It's got to be just surreal how quickly that came together for you. But success financially and everything kind of took some time over time. And I had to have you on the show, Jim, because I've had several artists on the show who have referred to you, and I was like, well, I got to get Jim on the show, because I had Dennis DeYoung on the show. He's talking about his last album that you helped him write, and Leslie Hunt, who said that you were a mentor to her. She's a phenomenal artist. But from reading your book and talking to these folks, it seems like Chicago is a very tight-knit musical community. It seems like everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, we really do, and we support each other too. So yeah, Leslie, she's a real gem. In fact, she was supposed to be here in an hour, but we moved the session. She's going to be on my new Jim Peterik World Stage album.
Okay.
And I just got off the phone with Dennis. We did a what do you call it when you do the video? A Zoom, yeah. And we're writing a new song for the new Jim Peterik World Stage album, which I have to turn in on September 15th for Frontiers.
Okay. Well, great. Well, sounds like you're getting a lot done with Frontiers. You got the Dream Higher that just came out on June 16th. Before we move on to that, though, I wanted to talk a little bit about Survivor. I wanted to ask you, do you think that your tensions with Frankie Sullivan led to better creative output in your collaborations, or do you think that maybe a more harmonious relationship could have made Survivor even bigger and better?
I think the tension was actually positive. It was a little painful, but he was the guy, as I said in my book, he was so hard to please. Once I got an idea through and he loved it, I felt like the king of the world. And here we go. And he was a great guitar player. If that's his main thing. Mm-hmm. And he would come up, with a riff that would spark the whole lyric and this and that. There's definitely a chemistry. But as I said, sometimes we're oil and water, but I think it produced sparks.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you about an album that I'm sure you've heard from fans, that every single Survivor album is somebody's favorite Survivor album. I want to talk to you a little bit about one that's coming up on its 40th anniversary, and that is Caught in the Game.
Yeah, man, I haven't thought about that one for a while.
Little bit, obviously the video was cheesy, but all videos were cheesy in the day. The Survivor word mark looks a little dated at this point, but at the time, I mean, it's 40 years ago, that we thought that was pretty cool. But this was a time where you'd had some success, obviously, with Eye of the Tiger, and you're trying to duplicate that and trying to create a song that, or an album that is as big as Eye of the Tiger, is not an easy task. And of course, Dave was having some issues with his vocal cords. I couldn't have told you that was the case from listening, but this album was the one that grabbed me. It was the one that speaks to me. Songs like the title track and Jackie Don't Go and I Never Stop Loving You and Santa Ana Wins. And I wanted to specifically ask you about Santa Ana Wins, because It's a little bit different than most of the Survivor catalog, and I wondered where did you come up with the germ of that, and what was the story behind that song?
Well, it was all about the fires in California. Santa Ana winds was spreading those flames around, as they do in California and a lot of other places. And yet it's also an analogy to love. Ain't it a lot like love? The way emotions can sweep your heart and sweep you away like the Santa Ana winds. So it relates to fire, but also relates to love and passion and heartbreak.
Yeah. Was Jackie Don't Go written about somebody specifically?
No, cute name, Jackie Don't Go. I love that. It's a really cocky name. And Jackie, no, Jackie Don't Go. I love that song. And Dave really nails it. And that was a great collaboration between Frankie and I.
Yeah, I just can't. I could talk to you for an hour just about that record. I think it's such a great record.
Was Never Stop Loving You? Is that on that album too?
Yep, yep.
That was the first of a series of power ballads that culminated. Every album we had a big power ballad, and Searches Over was probably the most successful of that thread of writing. And that's, by that time, Jimmy had taken over and just nailed it.
Yeah. When you went in from that, it didn't do as well, but Vital Signs obviously launched you guys back to that next level, that pinnacle, and really that's what I think a lot of people remember. Other than Eye of the Tigers, they remember The Search Is Over and Can't Hold Back, and those songs. Those are classics that people still play today on the classic rock stations. But let's get into Dream Higher. This is a great album. Came out on Frontiers, and it's the seventh Pride of Lions album, which is interesting because you had 7 albums you did with Survivor as well. The first album came out, Pride of Lions came out in 2003. What prompted this project, and how did you come across Toby Hitchcock?
Wow, good question. The Ides of March, we're doing the Popcorn Festival in Valparaiso, Indiana. And there was this young guy in the front row just really watching and didn't think much about it. But he came up to me afterwards and said, "My name's Toby Hitchcock. I'm a singer." I go, "Well, good for you, that and a quarter." But I said, "Well, that's great, and we just made small talk. And then my niece, Kelly, calls me and said, "You know that geeky guy you talked to at the Popcorn Festival? Well, I just did a Dick Clark audition for a show that never aired, and I met Toby Hitchcock and Uncle Jimmy. You've got to hear this guy." I said, "Well, if you say so, Kelly," because my niece Kelly, she's a singer and she's got great taste. And I said, "I'll tell you what, why don't you call Toby and get him down to the studio Monday morning. And I got a song that you can sing a duet. It's called No Long Goodbyes. And it'll really test his mettle, and hear the way you two blend." Well, he comes to the door with Kelly and he looked like a goof. He had these 2 false teeth on, like buck teeth. And I thought they were real. And I'm going, poor guy. Gee, I didn't notice that in Valparaiso. And he takes them off. Ah! So that's Goofy Toby. And they stood out there right in that very room that we're adjacent to and sang No Long Goodbyes. And they blew me away. And I called Serafino and Mario at Frontiers. I said, "You got to fly in and hear this guy." And they flew in, and I flew to Nashville. We met at a studio, and there's Mario and there's Serafino, and I bring in Toby, and Serafino goes, "Jim, he's just a baby." I said, "Yeah, but that baby can sing." And we auditioned live as a duet, and they signed us immediately.
Nice. Yeah, he absolutely can sing. This is a guy who he would have fit right in with the Survivor sound back in the day. I mean, he's right in that same sort of area between Jimmy and Dave, I think. And he he and you, what I like about Pride of Lions, you like to do a lot of sometimes you overlap vocals, sometimes you trade lines, and then there's the harmonies. And that is kind of, I think, what you had envisioned with Survivor, wasn't it? Was more dual singing.
This is Survivor reincarnated, the original concept. You know, if you listen to the very first Survivor album, I do quite a bit of singing on that, and duets with like whatever it takes. Me and Dave, or Dave and I, are trading off, and then I just kind of got pushed back to the keyboards, and very happy as a songwriter, because really that's, you know, the bread and butter for me anyway, is songwriting. But I always missed the co-singing.
Yeah. I think that more bands should probably do that. I don't, I think that music fans like that. I think it's cool. I think it gives a different flavor. It brings a new energy. And I think that a lot of bands miss the boat by not doing that, especially bands that, you know, there are multiple singers that sing lead vocals. There's not enough trading back and forth. I think that really brings something new and special to a song.
I totally agree, Michael. And case in point, Sunshine Your Love, Cream. And I used to love to hear the differences in the tonalities between Eric Clapton and the bass player, who was
Oh, jeez.
me,
I'm having a senior moment.
me too.
Yeah,
But those two voices, Jack Bruce,
there you go. Yeah.
they were. I love the, like, two different kinds of wine. You know, wonderful.
Yeah, for sure. So this 10 songs on this one. You've got yourself, Jim Peterik, lead and background vocals, keyboards and guitar. Toby Hitchcock, lead and background vocals. You've got Ed Breckenfeld on drums and percussion. Mike Aquino, I hope that I'm saying that
Close
right.
Aquino, but yeah.
Lead and power guitar. Bob Lizik on bass. Christian Cullen on keyboards and orchestration. And did did you go into this album with any any sort of a theme that you wanted to get out there, or a style of music, or something that was on your mind, like maybe a um, just some kind of I don't even know the words because I'm not a musician like you, but did you come into this with something that you wanted to accomplish, or did you come into this fresh and just start writing?
Well, it usually starts with one song that kind of sets the bar and the template, and it's Dream Higher, which became the title track. And it's very much my kind of life force. It's dream higher, dream bigger, keep going, and always try to top yourself. And so that, with that as a template, all the songs except for one song are very, very positive. And through it all, I kept on fighting and renegade hard. It's very thematic. And the exception to that is Everything to Live For,
Hmm.
which is one of the few melancholy songs I've written and recorded in a long, long time, maybe ever. It was about a suicide of not a friend, but an acquaintance who took her life. And I'm going, what the hell? You know, someone apparently happy with everything to live for said the last goodbye.
Yeah.
And a very unusual, I almost left it off the album, but it turns out to be a lot of people it could really relate to it, or knew someone in this condition.
Yeah, I had a note to ask you about that, to ask you who that was about, because it does stand out in that respect, and it does feel like a very personal song.
It is. I didn't really, we weren't friends, but we were friends of friends who could not understand why this woman took her own life.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a tough subject matter. I gravitated to the title track. I think that was my favorite. And I'll also, one of the ones that I really think is pretty cool is Driving and Dreaming. The way you guys trade off vocals, and it's very road trippy,
Yeah.
lyrically. Was there an uh, did you get the inspiration from that from Driving?
Uh, I did, but I got the title and concept from Steve Salzman, who I've collaborated with through the years. He was in a band called John Blonde when he was like 18. The Ides of March played his high school, and we became friends. And he would always be the guy sending me poems that or titles, and he sent me this one title, "Driving and Dreaming of You," and boom, I wrote the song, and that's why his name is next to mine on that song. Another co-write is "Another Life," which I wrote with a gentleman named David Fink, who owned a club called the Acorn. The Acorn is still there, but he sold it. It's in Three Oaks, Michigan. And he sent me this poem. There's another life in me somewhere beyond the one that you can see. He was just out of a relationship, and he knew that there was something out there for him, another love, and that's what inspired this song.
Jim, when someone brings this record home or CD, listens to it streaming, however, and they listen to it start to finish, what do you kind of hope that they take away from that listening experience? Is there some feeling you'd like to leave them with?
Well, always, as I said, I tend to be a very positive person. But the cup is always half full. And I'd like them to take home hope, really. If you're looking for love, you'll find it. There's always hope around the corner. And if you have goals, you can achieve them. And it sounds very naive, but I truly believe that, and that's what I'd like them to take home.
I got to ask you about the Jimmy Bar. How did you get involved with the Jimmy Bar?
Well, it's a huge success story because the Eye of the Tiger bar is their number one seller. And actually, the Jimmy is not me. Jimmy is Jimmy Simon, who owns the company. But everybody assumes it's me. But I spell it Jimmie. But I did create the Eye of the Tiger bar. And I remember I would go to the factory with my wife, Karen, and we'd sample all these bars and all formulas. And we were very instrumental in the formulation of that bar. And it became very popular. And I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I wanted to order one, but there weren't any in stock.
Yeah, they've been selling out. It's been really crazy. So I'm very, very happy about that.
All right, one more topic before we go. I wanted to ask you about 38 Special. Obviously, you wrote "Rockin' Into the Night," and the Survivor version is out there on your one of your compilations there. But this is a song that was, I mean, even with what 38 Special did with that song, and just the way they sing, they're a little more Southern oriented, but it's not a huge difference between the two versions. But this was a song that your producer at the time didn't feel fit in with the rest of the songs that you had.
Yeah, Ron Nevison, it was kind of a mystery to me why he didn't feel that one fit us. And just about when he decided it wouldn't go on the album, John Kalender came in and said he's got this real nasal voice. He's the guy with the long Hasidic beard anyway. So he walks in. And, he was dressed in a wedding dress in the Pump video. That's John Kalender. And he goes, Ron, can I have a copy of that song? And Ron goes, yeah. Made him a cassette. Next thing you know, it's on the radio, but not by Survivor, by 38 Special. And we're actually in the car, Frankie and I, and we're going down to a video shoot. And Frankie goes, what the hell is that? I go, damn if I know. Anyway, found out that Kalender gave it to Ron Nevison. Nevison gave it to Kalender. Kalender gave it to 38 Special, and the rest is 38 history. Yeah. But they did a great job on it. Got some of the words wrong, but that's okay.
And you've become friends with those guys, and you've collaborated on other big hit songs for them.
Oh yeah, there's Don Bars and Jeff Carlisi, still two of my dearest friends. Even though Jeff's no longer with the band, we're all still friends together, and I love those guys.
Yeah, so you did Hold On Loosely. What was the other one?
Caught Up in You.
Caught Up in You was the other big one that you did with them.
Fantasy Girl. Yeah,
fantastic stuff. Just it struck me as odd that Frankie would have a problem with you collaborating with 38 Special when you were. It's not like you weren't turning in material for the band.
Well, right. I think he really wanted to keep my writing insular to Survivor, but I really liked collaborating, and it caused some friction between Frankie and I. But at a point, I stepped back and I stopped co-writing with 38 Special. But then I started writing with other people. It's just like you really can't. I love collaboration. Is the bottom line, because you always get something different.
Sure. You mentioned the World Stage record that you've been working on. What else is coming up for Jim Peterik?
Well, the new World Stage record, which is very much on my mind, it's going to be called Roots and Shoots. And the Roots are collaborations with Aria Speedwagon and Don Barnes and Kelly Kagi and so many different classic artists that I'm writing or co-writing with. And the Shoots are young artists or new artists that I've discovered, female and male, and also collaborating with or writing specific songs for them that I feel fit their style. So Roots and Shoots, and probably I have to turn it in on September 15th on Frontiers. I'm guessing it'll probably come out early 2024.
Will there be some live World Stage performances?
Yeah, we were supposed to go to Italy in October, but that got moved back by Frontiers to next year. And we're hoping to create dates around that, around Italy in different countries. So far, nothing, no Pride of Lines in America planned yet.
Yeah. All right. And you're still doing some shows with Ides of March.
A lot of shows with the Ides of March. And we've got a couple exciting ones coming up. On a little different note, I just got back from Ottawa, where I got a great honor as a Czech American who broke through, and they gave me a wonderful honor. I did a little concert in Ottawa for the Czech community, and I just got back from that, and that was really very rewarding.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. That's awesome. Jim Peterik, you can check out his website. You're gonna get Pride of Lions. It's already available. You can get that on the Frontier shop. You can probably get it on Amazon as well. Is there any place where they can get your material that helps you more than getting it from Amazon?
It all funnels to me. But at shows, we make the most money at shows, live merchandise.
Yeah.
But that keeps the Ides of March going, and it's really rewarding to see people grabbing and vinyl, and we're signing stuff after the shows, and it's still exciting live shows.
Yeah. This has been a big treat for me, Jim. I had never got to see Survivor at their height of their power. I had tickets to see you guys open for REO Speedwagon in Columbus, Ohio in the late 80s, but that I don't know why, Survivor canceled and we ended up getting Cheap Trick as an opener instead.
Well, a good substitute, but I can't say why we had to cancel. Yeah. But I'm good friends with Rick Nielsen, of course, and I love those guys.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to see Cheap Trick tomorrow night.
Oh, right. Say hi to Ricky.
I will. If I get that close, I will do that. That's
all right.
Clearwater, Florida. So, Jim Peterik, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I wish you nothing but the best. This Pride of Lions record, it's fantastic. It is. If you like Survivor, this is like sort of like, to me, Survivor crossed with Toto maybe a little bit, and it's all really good melodic rock, and it's good to see that you're still putting out fantastic music.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking. You're a great interviewer, and keep the eye of the tiger.